Record to the cloud. Okay. So, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We have a lot of people on the call today. We have people representing India, Kenya, Ukraine, Spain. We have people from Palestine here on the call. So it's very, very exciting. And I also wanted to share with you the fact that we surpassed our initial goal of reaching 10,000 girls this season. We actually have 11,000 girls who signed up and have their parental consent forms on file. So that's a huge milestone for us and is more than at any point in Technovation's history. So usually we've said that 10,000 girls have completed our program. And this year we have 10,000 girls alone who have registered. So that's really, really exciting. And we've had new countries join our program. So we have regional ambassadors in Armenia, Romania, Spain, who have exploded the program, as well as in the US and Montana and Georgia. And in countries where we've always had a presence, like Nigeria, we also have seen exponential growth. So we're very excited about the growth that we're seeing this year, the impact that we're having on girls, and the stories that are coming out of these places of girls who are from under-resourced communities who are using technology to change their communities and really become empowered and become leaders. So it's a very exciting start to the season, and I want to thank all of you. I keep saying thank you, but I really do mean that, and I do want you to know how much we value and appreciate you. With that being said, I'm going to get started. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, please let me know if you can see it. And I won't be able to see questions that are coming in, so Madhvi is going to help me with that. If you have questions, feel free to use the chat box. So the purpose of today's webinar is really to inform you about the different options that are available for hosting an event and provide you with an overview of rules and regulations for hosting an event. If you have questions that are related to fundraising, to judging, or the platform itself, we can certainly address those during the call today. But the overall flow of this conversation will be about hosting an event and what that means. So I want to go over a few different reminders. Submission is April 26th. So students need to have all of their deliverables submitted at this time. We require that students submit in English, so please keep that in mind. Our regional pitch events, these are our official judging regional pitch events, will be held May 1st through May 14th. May 1st is also when our platform opens up for judging. Students who qualify for the second round of judging, for the semifinals, that will be announced May 24th, those students who advance on to the second round of judging. This is online, so the semifinals are not held in a certain location, they are held online. And then our finalists are announced June 8th. So our season culminates in August with World Pitch. So this is August 7th through the 11th, where our global finalists will come in from around the world. Last year we had teams from Kenya, Kazakhstan, Mexico, various locations in the US represented. And so we're excited to see what apps the girls are creating and invite them to Silicon Valley. So, high-level overview. You have 3 different options of hosting an event. One option is the official regional pitch event. There is a 10-team requirement, so you need to have a minimum of 10 teams in the senior division or 10 teams in the junior division, and a minimum of 3 to 5 judges. Your next option would be to host a celebration event. This is an unofficial event. There is no minimum number of teams required. A key differentiator is that teams are judged virtually. So difference is live regional pitch event, those students will qualify for the semifinals. The celebration event, those students enter a virtual pool of judging. Your third option is to not host an event. Students are judged online in a virtual pool. So I'm going to go over each of these different options more in depth, but that's a high-level overview to get us started. So what is a regional pitch event? It's an opportunity for girls to showcase their apps and pitch their ideas live to a panel of judges. What's really great about the regional pitch event is that a winner will be guaranteed to advance on to the semifinals. So for every 10 teams, one winner will advance on to the semifinals. Or if you have 11 to 20 teams, 2 winners will advance on to semifinals. Teams have the option of attending a live pitch event or being judged virtually. But when it comes time to select whether or not they will be attending a live pitch event, they can either choose to present in person or they can be judged virtually. So if they cannot make it to the live pitch event or they don't feel comfortable, they do have that option and it will be present on their student dashboard. So a little bit more about that 10-team requirement. You can choose to host a senior-only event or a junior-only event, or if you have enough teams in both divisions, you can host it for both. This requirement ensures consistency around the world. So in order to ensure fairness, to make sure that all of our events are similar format, we require that there's a 10-team minimum. You need to register your regional pitch event on our platform by March 17th. So I'm going to show you what our platform looks like. Okay, can everyone still see my screen? Okay.
Can you?
Yeah. And then Madhvi, would you mind muting? There's just a little bit of background sound. Okay. So, all right, back to the platform. If you don't see this, then you don't have a regional ambassador profile created. And I can send you a special link to do that. So when you look at your dashboard, you have access to the curriculum, the RA resource page, and then the submission deliverables and guidelines.
Can everybody on the line please mute the microphones? I think someone's microphone is not muted. We hear a lot of background noise. So if you can please mute yourself, that would be great.
And you can find the mute button in your lower left-hand corner. Okay, so when you create a regional pitch event, you want to click here on your left-hand menu, and you want to click New Regional Pitch Event. This is where you would name your event, and you would click whether it was senior division or junior division, put the time, the location, and the Eventbrite link. You would click Create Regional Pitch Event. You can always edit these details at a later time, but we just want to prepare our platform, and that's why we have this deadline of March 17th for registering it. And students can start choosing to RSVP for a regional pitch event as soon as March 21st. So that user interface will be available to them starting March 21st. So if you already know your location and your details, then encourage them to sign up for the regional pitch event as soon as possible, so you get a good head count. I'm going to go back to the main dashboard because I'm going to show you the student feature. Many of you are aware that you can look at the student information, but it's important for you to monitor your students and teams so that you get an accurate head count. So I went to the student dashboard, or the RA dashboard, and I clicked students, and you can see which students are on a team and not on a team. You can email this information to yourself. You want to ensure that students are forming teams and that they are, even if they're working offline, they need to be forming teams on the platform so that they're able to submit and you have an accurate count of how many teams are present within your region. So really encourage them to join a team and to confirm that they are part of a team. Okay, I'm going to real quick try and see if I can mute some people on the call. It's a little bit loud. Okay, so all participants are muted right now. And if you have a question, I'll pause and we'll answer your question. You can unmute. But back to the platform. So if I go to the team section here, that's where I can view all of the team information for teams that are within my region. Then I can download this, see if they have mentors or without a mentor. They can still connect with mentors. The deadline of March 8th was simply to create a student profile. So they can still form teams, connect with mentors, and obtain parental consent. Generally, we estimate that about 50% of teams are not able to submit. So keep that in mind for your attrition rate and for estimating how many teams might be present at your event. You can also monitor team submissions here. This is very important in order to ensure that your students are on track. So if I click team submissions here, I can view their progress by clicking on their app, and I can email myself a CSV report with the team submission data as well. Okay, so I'm going to pause there and see what questions we might have. If you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself. I'm also going to check the chat box and see what questions might be happening on the chat right now. So, okay, so if you have a question, you can unmute yourself right now. And the unmute button is in the lower left-hand corner. Okay, I'm looking at the chat right now. Let's see. What if we have 20 teams in total, but not 10 in each category? Good question, Niraj. I will answer that in an upcoming slide. Can we still host regional pitch events for both categories? For both senior and junior divisions? Yes? Okay, I'm not sure, Niraj, what you mean by that, but you can host regional pitch events for both senior and junior division teams. What happens if we have 10 teams in senior and only 5 in junior? Can we do regional events for senior teams and just have the junior teams be a celebration? Yes, absolutely, Barbara. And I'll get to that in our FAQ slide. But great questions.
Hi, Katie, it's Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
The submissions this year include the PowerPoints. Do they have to have their PowerPoint done by the 26th, or do they just need it done by the regional pitch event?
Yeah, we do want them to have it done by April 26th, but we recognize that students may change their slides. That's, you know, to be expected. So try and encourage them to keep their slides the same, but that is, we would like them to complete it by April 26th.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else have a question? Okay.
Katie, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Barbara. On the dashboard, I just sent a chat out and Madhava answered my question, but how can I sort by regions? Because I didn't see that on the dashboard, and I know we could do it last year. So I've been looking at all of them and then cutting and pasting the difference between Southern California and Northern California and then getting those names, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah. So for right now, you do have to download the CSV report and then filter that. But let's go back to the dashboard and I can share my screen. So if you're looking at your students, and you want to download their report, you can certainly email that to yourself. You can sort it by school and filter it by alphabetical order, sort by ascending or descending. You can also filter, sort it by alphabetically for the location. But in terms of making sure that you only have students from San Diego or Los Angeles who are in your CSV report, that's not possible. You'll have all students. So like for right now, I'm an Indian RA, and I have Bangalore, Chennai, Madurai all represented, and I have to sort it once I download it. But that's a really important feature that we do want to build out for next year. But for this, you can sort it on the list right here, but you will have to, when you download it, delete the teams who are not relevant for your immediate city or immediate location.
Okay, thanks. I was just checking because it was just a little bit easier last year. It's just a little bit more work this year.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, but important feature, and definitely always want your feedback to see how we can best improve. So we really do value that feedback.
Hey, Katie, it's Keisha. Can you hear me? Okay, I have 2 quick questions. So first, we only have budget to have one event. And right now we qualify for the official regional pitch for the senior division, but we don't qualify for the junior division. So is it okay to combine like a pitch and a celebration into one?
Yeah, so I'll get to that in a couple slides.
Okay.
That's a good point, and I think that's common across different regions. So definitely I'll address that. I'm just going to jump back to the presentation so that we can do this, but I will address that because I know Neeraj, I think, had a similar question, or someone else also did on the chat. So definitely we'll address that. Okay.
Katie, before you can continue, this is Janita from Mexico City. And I want just to clarify one thing. In order to register the regional pitch event, we are able to edit it until March 17th.
You can continue to edit it after March 17th. So all you have to do is just register it. You can edit all the details later. Like even here in the Bay Area, we need to confirm a few location details and venue information. And so that's totally fine to edit it after March 17th. Just put it on the platform so that we have an idea of which events are going to be happening around the world and prepare our platform for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so jumping back into this, there is a minimum of 3 judges that are needed for your event. Please keep in mind that you cannot recruit judges for your event if you are a mentor and a regional ambassador. So if you are a mentor and you're mentoring teams, please have someone or delegate a volunteer to recruit judges for you. No mentors for your local teams can be recruited as judges for your event. This is to ensure fairness and consistency to prevent conflict of interest. We want to make sure that it's fair and that all students are being judged accordingly. Another requirement of the regional pitch is that students give a live pitch about 4 minutes long. We don't want them to just simply play their video. We want them to actually go up there and present and pitch their app and business plans. Students create a PowerPoint and slide presentation for a regional pitch event. If they're not in a location that's hosting a regional pitch event, then they don't need to submit a PowerPoint and slide presentation. Judges are there to give constructive feedback, limited to about a minute or 2 each. And then when you host a regional pitch event, winners will be announced, and the scores are available after the event on the platform. So please don't announce the scores at the event, but announce the winners. You can recruit judges throughout March and April, and the platform is going to open May 1st. So we really encourage that judges start reviewing team submissions as early as May 1st, because then they get an idea of already the quality of the submissions that are coming in, and it will take them a little bit less time at the event to judge the submissions. The scores must be entered by May 15th at the latest, and we recommend that judges input scores immediately after the event or during the event so that there is no confusion about what scores teams received. And we'll have a separate webinar just about judging and what that entails. We will also have a judge training for people who register as judges. Even if you are choosing not to host a regional pitch event, we really encourage you to recruit judges, online judges, so that we have diversity around the world represented both online and at our regional pitch event. So we really encourage you to recruit judges both at your regional pitch event and for online judges as well. Okay, these are some of our most common questions. What if I have 10 teams in one division and less than 10 in another division? You have two options. You can choose to host a division-only event. So if you meet the requirement in the senior division, great, host a senior division-only event. And junior teams would just submit online. You can also have both divisions participate, but the division with less teams would be judged virtually. So you would announce the winners of the division that meets the 10-team requirement. So let's take the case of a junior division teams. You have enough teams in the senior division. Those teams would have a winner that's announced, and their scores would be, their projects would be evaluated live at the event. You don't have enough teams in the junior division, but you still want them to participate. They can still present, they can still receive feedback, but their scores will not be submitted on the platform. They will be judged virtually. So those teams would enter our virtual group of students from around the world. Okay. And let me know if I can clarify that for you. So I'll pause in a little bit, but I want to get to another question that we often get. How many teams advance to the finals at the World Pitch Summit? So let's take a look at the award structure. This year, our competition is centered around the UN's 6 Sustainable Development Goals of peace, poverty, health, the environment, education, and equality. So we will have 6 finalist teams who are the top scoring teams in each of those categories attend World Pitch. We will also have 6 runner-up teams who will not be coming to World Pitch, but they are the second highest scoring team in each category. So everyone will receive a prize. There will be 1 grand prize winner for each division. So 6 finalists for junior division, 6 finalists for senior division, and 1 grand prize winner from each division. A question we often get is how many teams can make it to the finals from my country? Finalist teams are determined by the track and not by the region. So there's no quota or there's no set limit on how many teams could come from a certain region, because these are going to be determined by the 6 different categories of health, education, peace, poverty, environment, and equality. Another question that we often get is, will Technovation offer financial support for my event? Unfortunately, we cannot offer you financial support, although we certainly would absolutely love to give you financial support. But we have so many regional pitch events that are happening around the world, it's financially difficult for us to help you with all of your events. But we do have a fundraising toolkit for support and strategies for approaching donors. We can brainstorm different funders to approach together. If you need a letter of support, happy to give that to you. If this is a topic that you really want to go into depth, I can host another webinar just around fundraising, and perhaps we can hear from successful RAs who have received funding for their region and how they went about that. Can I host multiple regional pitch events in my country? Yes, you can host them in multiple locations as long as you've met the requirements. So here in the Bay Area, we are hosting one in San Francisco, in the South Bay, and in the East Bay. And so there are multiple regional pitch events that are happening even within this small geographic location. So if you have a large number of teams, happy to have multiple regional pitch events as long as you have the bandwidth, you have the funding or ability to host those multiple events. Certainly, we would love to have that. And it means that more teams from your region have the ability to go on to the semifinals. So how are divisions formed? Divisions are created automatically, and students will be placed in the junior division if they're under 15 by August 1st, and students will be placed in the senior division if they're between 15 and 18 by August 1st. I'm going to stop screen sharing and just pause here and see what questions you may have. And if you would like to ask a question, unmute yourself, and then just remember to mute yourself again when we continue.
Hi, Katie. This is Soumya.
Hey, Soumya.
I just wanted to ask in terms of like the minimum number of teams. So it's kind of, for me, it's kind of challenging to gauge how much attendance we would get. So let's say right now I'm assuming that I would get at least 10 teams in either of the divisions, and then I go ahead and register the event, and then I go ahead and organize the event. But what if, because of some reason, whatever it may be, we don't have 10 teams on the actual day of the event? Well, in that case, will the other teams be disqualified, or how would that be handled? Because attendance is, I hope you understand, it's kind of iffy. Like, we really don't have a lot of control over who ends up coming and who doesn't.
For sure. Completely understandable. And that's something that we've thought through as well. So on our end, we would mark the event as unofficial, and it would become a celebration event. So you can still have the girls pitch and present, get feedback, but the girls would automatically be placed into our virtual pool of judging. So your event would be a celebration event, and it would still be an opportunity for them to come together with their parents, mentors, educators. We wouldn't want you to cancel it. It would just become a celebration event. It would become an unofficial event, and on our back end, we would mark it as an unofficial event, and your students' scores would be submitted by our virtual judges, and their projects would be evaluated by our virtual judges. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And just one more thing, Katie, can I add that? So
yeah.
Any event that doesn't have, like, the instance that Soumya just mentioned, if you register an official event and because of the lack of number of teams, if we have to turn it into a celebration event, just want to emphasize that the winners that you will have at that event are just celebration winners. They will not automatically qualify for a semifinalist spot. Like, they will not automatically move to the next round. They are just winners at the celebration event, but the actual winner from that cohort will then be decided by the virtual judges. So as Katie said, you can still have a celebration event, have winning teams, but we need to clarify to this. So the responsibility of the RA would have to be to communicate to the teams that this was an official event. We have to turn it into a celebration event because of the lack of the required number of teams, and the team that is winning will not automatically get a seat, because it's important to communicate this to your teams and not have them come to the event with the expectation that they win, they move to the next round. So just make sure that if your event is switching to a celebration event, as RAs, you communicate this to the team so they know what they are getting into when they're coming for pitching. Sorry, Katie, go ahead.
I have a couple questions. I see a couple people with their hands raised, so I'm going to unmute Jermaine from Cameroon. Jermaine, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Yes. Hello, I don't know about issues and
it's a little bit hard to hear you right now, so it's breaking up. The internet isn't very good. So I'm going to mute you, and perhaps you can ask your question in the chat box.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Hi, Katie, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So we have like 260 teams in Palestine.
Mhm.
So we're thinking of hosting 3 official regional pitch events and then hosting a celebration event. So can we announce the winners in the celebration event,
So
for example? Yeah.
if you have 10 teams at the celebration event, then
Well,
then it's actually a regional pitch event. So if you
no,
have
no, 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 no.
it's
So
actually there's less teams.
that was not my question. No, no, no. So I have 260 teams.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I have 70 in each regional pitch, I don't want to celebrate to announce the winners in each division because in each regional pitch because they are all under Palestine. I want to announce the winners at the end of all the 3 regional pitches.
Oh, okay.
So that they are all under the same cloud or something.
Right. So you want to host like a celebration event that brings together all of the students?
Yes,
and
of
then
course.
you will announce the winners there. That's a really unique idea that we haven't had before. Madhvi, what are your thoughts on that?
So before I answer that, Tina, I have another question just to get more information on that. So you are saying that you have so many teams and you're hosting 3 regional pitch events across the region. You want to host a celebration event to declare the winners. My question is, will you have winners? Are you selecting winners from each of those 3 regional events?
So the reason why I want to announce the winners at the end is so that all of the regions are the same. They're all Palestine. I don't want to judge them according to being in the first regional pitch or the second or the third.
No, I get that. No, I get that. My question is, let me rephrase. My question is, say you have regional pitch event 1, 2, and 3. Will you have a winner, no matter when you announce them, but for yourself, will you have a winner at regional pitch event 1 and winner at regional pitch event 2 and winner at regional pitch event 3?
No, what I will do, and that's my proposal, and I want to get your feedback on that. I want to put all the grades for all the teams and then decide the result based on all the teams in all the 3 regional pitches. So it doesn't matter where they were.
Yeah, okay. So let me tell you how we do it here in the Bay Area. So the Bay Area is a huge area. You can imagine it's not a country, but it's huge. So we divided it up into 3 regions: East Bay, South Bay, and San Francisco. What we do is we host a regional pitch event in the South Bay and declare the winners of the South Bay region. And then we host a pitch event in the because those are what I'm trying to say is we can't have winners when they're not competing against each other. Region 1 is not competing against Region 2. So I can't like compare their scores and announce a winner. You can have a winner among a competing group of teams. They even didn't compete with that group. So how can I create select a winner in 2 parallel groups? So what you're trying to do is you can select a winner in 3 parallel groups, but they are not competing with each other. So we can take this conversation online. You can think a little bit about it. My suggestion would be to replicate the model that we do in the Bay Area. Like we divided it up into 3 regions. Each region has a winner, given that you have so many teams. We don't even have 260 teams, to be honest, in the Bay Area, but that's the model that we follow. Select a winner for each region. Because Palestine has so many teams, with 260 teams, you are bound to have those number of winners. So, but we can take this offline, but I think about this suggestion and see how it plays out. You know the local scenario better than I do. So just give it a little thought and then we can connect and see if that's an option that works for you. If not, then we can look into other ideas as well.
Okay, I will.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I'm going to unmute Adams. And oops, I'm not sure if I unmuted him or not, but Adams, if you want to ask your question right now, go ahead. Okay. Adams, if you want to unmute yourself in the lower left-hand corner, you can go ahead. If not, you can always type it in the chat box. Okay. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to move on to my presentation. All right, let's share the screen. Sorry, I have like so many different windows open right now. Okay. All right, that was a great segue from Tina's question into celebration events. So celebration events are unofficial. They are more flexible. You can host them anytime after April 26th. There is no minimum number of teams required. So if you have a smaller reach and you have less than 10 teams, this is a great opportunity for you. Less than 10 teams can be present. They can still pitch and receive feedback, but scores from the celebration events will not be taken into consideration for the global competition. Instead, they will be judged online by our global cohort of judges. Celebration events are a good fit for you if, like I said, you are a smaller region or our official timeline does not align well with your students' calendars. So for example, in Kenya, I had a call with our regional ambassador, Anne, and she said that she's hosting a celebration event at the end of May because of the students' calendars. They don't line up. Kenya is a very large region, but unfortunately, the 2 weeks that we have allotted for regional pitch events do not line up with her calendar. So she's hosting a celebration event, and she's aware that even though she may announce awards and winners for their local teams in Kenya, they're going to be officially evaluated online. Another option for you is simply not to host an event. Whether maybe you don't have the bandwidth or you don't have the funding, you can still have your teams will submit online virtually, so they still will have an opportunity to advance on to the semifinals. When students enter the virtual pool, it is more competitive. So it is more advantageous to the students to host a regional pitch event, because when you host a regional pitch event, a winner will be officially announced and move along into the semifinals for the second round. If they enter the virtual pool of judging, they're now competing against girls from around the world, a much broader category. So like I said, submissions are judged by individuals worldwide. We really encourage you, regardless of whether or not you're hosting a regional pitch event or a celebration event, we encourage you to recruit judges so that we have judges represented from Cambodia, from Peru, from the US, from Canada. So we really encourage you to do that, because judges from your region will understand perhaps more the problems and the issues that are facing girls in their community. Okay, a few important notes. All submissions must be in English. Incomplete submissions will not advance on to the next round, and students can continue to form teams, obtain parental consent, and connect with mentors on the platform throughout the season. If you have any questions related to these reminders and these notes, please ask me. More than happy to answer them for you. And then finally, here's our resources and guides. If you have a question, your best place to look for the answer is the RA resource page. If you don't find the answer on that page, or you need more customized feedback, go ahead and ask it on the Slack channel, technovation-group.slack.com. And these are all hyperlinked, so you can follow these links from the presentation. Our regional pitch toolkit has the same information that I gave to you today. Our fundraising toolkit, great resource for you in terms of searching for funds. And then also the judging rubric, submission guidelines, and award structure, those details that your teams and mentors are probably looking for. Okay, so I'm going to stop my screen share. Does anyone have any other questions? I'm going to look at the chat box right now. Good question, Yanira. Don't register your celebration event on the platform. The only ones that should be registered on the platform are the official events where you have at least 10 teams present. And it will fall within the May 1st through May 14th timeframe.
That's also an important point, Katie. I just want to add, if you're hosting a celebration event, you're free to host it at any time. You don't have to go by this timeline of May 1st to May 14th. You can host it any time after the submissions, depending on what works for you. I know traditionally the Bangalore pitch event is hosted sometime in June or July because that works for their local school calendar. So because it's a celebration event, usually the results are announced by the end of May, but some RAs just decide to host it later depending on the local school calendars. So that's also a possibility if you're hosting a regional pitch event. And a celebration event, sorry.
Nadia asked, so official regional pitch event, is it possible to get teams to semifinals exactly after the pitch event? Unofficial, no, they have to compete with worldwide teams. So the official regional pitch event, the top scoring team from your regional pitch event will advance on to the semifinals. Unofficial event, no, they're competing against, they have an opportunity to still advance on to the semifinals. They certainly have an opportunity to, but they're competing with worldwide teams instead of teams that are within their region. So it's a bit more competitive for them. Okay. Nadia, I hope I answered your question. If you want to ask it in person instead of the chat box, feel free to unmute yourself. Keisha asked, I currently qualify for an official regional pitch. If at some point we are no longer able to qualify, should I delete our regional pitch event from the platform? No, you don't have to delete it. We'll mark it as unofficial on the back end. So Joe and our team will mark it as unofficial, and you will have to know that the teams will then be merged into the virtual pool of judging, and they can still present at your event, but the girls have to be aware that just because like I won an award and you know, I was a top scoring team at the celebration event doesn't necessarily mean that they'll advance on in the semifinals because they're competing against girls in the virtual pool. So all teams should be present at the pitch event, but we do recognize that for some teams it's simply not possible. You know, if they have a holiday or, you know, something comes up and they're not able to make it, they can still choose to be virtually judged. So teams do have that option of selecting a regional pitch event or being judged virtually.
And one more point, Katie, I want to add there. So if your teams want to be qualified to be judged at the regional pitch event and be eligible to be qualified from that judging pool, one, they have to be present at the regional pitch event, and second, they have to pitch live. We can't just play the YouTube pitch videos because that is not, like, the live pitching is the essence of these events. So the girls will have to get up on stage. They can have a presentation. They can work on that. But it's not like, you know, the girls are just like, we are playing the YouTube videos. The girls are just getting up for Q&A. That doesn't qualify technically as live pitching. So if they want to be part of that cohort to move to the next round, they have to pitch live and be judged at the event.
Okay, a couple different questions coming in. So Brian asked about the Palestine case, how many teams would be advancing on to the semifinals? And that's true that 23 teams would be sent to the semifinals, but take a look at the guidelines. So if you have 10 teams, one team would advance. If you have 11 to 20 teams, 2 teams would be advancing. So Maria asked, she has 13, how many teams would be moving on? In her case, 2 teams would be moving on. Isaac asked, we intend to invite students who couldn't register to observe. Is that okay? Yes, this is a community event. We encourage girls who weren't able to submit or who were interested but couldn't sign up. to observe. We also encourage you to bring potential funders to the event, parents, mentors, educators. This is a community event, and we want to encourage that spirit. Will judges have access to submissions before the events? Yes. So the judging platform opens on May 1st, and we encourage judges to review submissions before the event itself so they have an understanding of the teams, what they've submitted, and can start formulating well-informed opinions about the girls' submissions. That way it will take less time at your event as well. Heather from China, I believe. Okay. Can you introduce a little bit about the semifinals? Is it after students are selected from the regional pitch, virtual judges will give the scores online according to the materials students submit and select teams to the final competition? Yes. So when you have a regional pitch event, the winners will advance on to the semifinals. The semifinals and around the world are online. So that's why it's important that your submission materials are in English, because that's going to be the common language among judges around the world. So judges will be looking at the materials that they submit through their online account. Their business plan, their pitch video, their source code, their demo video. So take a look at the submission guidelines, but all of those deliverables need to be uploaded on their account so that the virtual judges can evaluate them in the semifinals. And then from there, we will choose the top scoring teams to advance onto the finals. Okay. Lots of questions. This is great. It's great to see all of you so engaged. Once a team participates for official, it looks like Madhvi's already answering them on the chat box, but for people who might be joining from their phone, I'll just briefly go over them. Once a team participates for an official event in a region, their submission won't be judged virtually anymore. It won't be judged virtually in the sense that they're not going to be judged twice for the first round. So they're not going to be judged both online and at a regional pitch event. But if they make it to the second round of judging, that's done online. So they will be evaluated virtually. But for the first round, they will only be evaluated once, at the pitch event or virtually. If we have an unofficial event, should we have judges as well? That's up to you, Nadia, on whether or not you want to have judges at the event, but we encourage you to have judges just to give feedback to the girls, because they might be searching for that, and giving them constructive feedback on how they can improve and take their projects forward. So we do encourage you to have judges, but you can structure the event as you see fit if it's a celebration event. How many judges, minimum and maximum? Minimum number of judges is 3, maximum is 5. If you have extenuating circumstances where you want to have more than 5 judges, we can talk about that. But the more judges you have, the more time it's going to take for deliberation and feedback. But certainly the 3 is a requirement, and that's set in stone. Will judges judge teams based on both their submissions and the live pitch? Yes. So they're going to evaluate them based off of the technical checklist of their app, their business plan, and their pitch. So take a look at the judging rubric that we have, because they will be evaluated both on their submissions and their live pitch, which is why we encourage judges to look at their submissions beforehand. Also, in the regional pitch event toolkit, we have a suggested format and agenda for the regional pitch event. So generally, students will have a showcase where they have a poster board session where they can present their apps. Judges will circulate and look at the different teams with their showcase in the gallery type setting. And then they'll have a live pitch where the students will be able to give their pitch and present it and add color to what their app and their business plan is. And let me know if that you need some clarification on that.
Katie, can I ask? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So continuing on what you were saying, if we're going, for example, to judge on the pitch itself, on the because they submit a YouTube video, that's the whole pitch. So then this part should not be judged by the judges from the submission platform, right? Because they're going to live pitch.
Right. It's the live pitch that's what's going to count in this case at a regional pitch event. It's that
But
live.
other than that, it's from the submission platform.
So, Madhvi, jump in on this, but at our regional pitch events, you should have a showcase gallery for the students to showcase, like on a poster board session, for the judges to walk around and be able to demo the app itself and look at their financial projections, look at their business plan, and then, you know, in the afternoon or however long you want to have your event, you'd have the showcase in the morning perhaps, and then you'd have the live pitch in the afternoon where they would be giving that formal pitch, that formal presentation, and then they can ask them questions.
But no judge can read the whole, for example, business plan just in the gallery setting.
Exactly.
So they have to look at that before.
Exactly. That's why we encourage them to start looking at the submissions May 1st.
Okay, thank you.
And just one more thing to add to that, Tina's point here is judges can look at the scores, judges can look at the submission starting May 1st. And imagine, like, you know, you can't control that. If a judge is looking at a submission, they might put in scores into that, but they might come at the event and change their mind and say, like, you know, we want to increase or decrease the score or something. All judges have the ability to edit their scores as well till judging is open. So that's also a facility. If they put in their scores as previous scores and can come back after hearing the pitches or going through the gallery event, they will have the ability to edit all these scores based on whatever they have heard at the event. Just one more Katie, sorry, I just responded to a few. I missed out on one. So the question about, do judges have to enter their scores online? Judges will have to enter their scores online before judging for that first phase, May 14th, by the time it closes. All scores by each of the judges needs to be entered into the platform, because based on that, we will move your qualifying teams to the next round. So as RAs, it's important to ensure that judges have, you know, support them and ensure that all the scores are in the system.
I see another question from Ojasavi from Bangalore. She asked, how long is the judging open after May 1st? I have to confirm that with Madhvi, but I believe it's open until June 4th, because that's when, is that correct, Madhvi?
For both the rounds. So the first round, that is your regional pitch events, it is till May 15th, and then they go into the second round, and the second round of judging happens till June 4th.
Will the platform let us see the average scores from all the judges at an event? Okay, that sounds like a Joe question. Joe's our software developer, and I don't want to answer that wrong. So I'm going to ask Joe, and then I'll put that on Slack. Okay, Maria? Will platform let us see the average scores? Okay, it's a great Slack question for Joe. Okay, Keisha, she asked, I have several mentors that have already signed up to be judges. I let them know that due to conflict of interest, they can't judge teams in the Georgia region. However, they can still be a virtual judge for another region, correct? Yes, that is correct. So if you're a mentor and you want to be a judge, it goes first by division and then by region. So you would be judging teams in another division. And then if the platform can't find you teams that are outside of your division, then it would take you into another region. It would take you outside of Georgia into another region for them to judge on the platform. Okay, we have 5 minutes, so we're going to push through some of these questions. Jennifer asked, we use printed rubrics for judging at the regional pitch. Can one person enter all the judges' scores after the event is over? No. So each judge must submit their scores on the platform. Ojisavi asked, what kind of judges should be brought in? This is up to you and your discretion, but in general, we encourage you to get a diverse group of judges who have a technical background, who have a business background, and also to recruit judges from very strategically. So recruiting them from potential partners or potential funders, recruiting them from organizations who have supported you, whether financially or in kind. Perhaps they donated the space to you. It's a great way to thank them and to engage them in Technovation. So a lot of times when people serve as a judge at Technovation, they get really inspired and really empowered, and that experience stays with them for a very long time. And so that's why it's really good to invite potential corporations who could fund you in the future, thinking ahead for 2018, or your current funders, so that they could potentially give you more money for next year. So potential funders, people with technical business backgrounds, and people that you want to thank for supporting you throughout Technovation. Mavi just answered Niraj's question. Can we combine teams from 2 locations if we are short of a few to reach 10 teams? Yes, that is possible. Even if you have teams from another region that want to participate, that's totally fine. In the US, in New York City, we have a couple teams that are coming from Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh doesn't have enough teams to host an event, so they are incentivizing their students to complete their submissions by telling them that if you complete your submissions, we'll bring you to New York City. And so we have several teams from Pittsburgh going to New York City, and that's fine. They don't have to be within your region exactly. How time consuming is judging? It seems like they have to do a lot if they have to evaluate 40 teams. So yeah, it is a commitment, and that's why it's important to structure your event accordingly. And we can talk about ways to make it most conducive for judging if you have a lot of teams in your region. You could also think about splitting up. If you have so many teams participating, you might want to think about splitting it up. So maybe hosting 2 different events within your city or your region. That's one option. And then also making sure that you limit the amount of time that they're giving feedback and to moving the event along. But generally, it is a little bit time consuming for the actual regional live event if you have a lot of teams in your region. Online, if you're recruiting judges for online submissions, it usually takes about like 4 hours to go through as many submissions as you want, but generally it takes about half an hour per submission if they're looking at online submissions. So that's not for a live event, that's just online. It takes about half an hour per submission for recruiting online judges. Okay, Nadia asks that she's afraid to be dishonest with teams, to tell them they will not have a real pitch event, but we can't provide participants to come to Kiev for pitching. So Nadia, I think I'm a little bit confused on whether or not you want to host a pitch event or a celebration event or no event. So if you have enough teams, host a regional pitch event where they can advance on to the semifinals. So let's talk about this offline so that I can better address it, because it is 8 a.m. here on my time. Will you provide the Q&A in the comments along with the slides? Jennifer, that's a great idea. I'm going to save this chat right now. So with that being said, thank you all for coming today. And I appreciate all of your questions. It shows how engaged you are and how passionate you are and how willing you are to make this a success. So thank you so much for coming today. The slides will be available, a recording will be available, so if anyone on your team missed this call, that's fine. And then, like Jennifer said, could we have a Q&A in the comments? And definitely, I've saved the chat so we can do that. Thank you everyone again, and more webinars to come. So we want to support you 100% this season and give you all of the support you need to make it a success. All right, thank you everyone.